Good morning, everyone. Okay, so today is Tuesday, March 16th. The time is now almost 9:35 a.m. This is a special meeting to consider human resources personnel changes. Attending our commission is Duncan Brooks and Filials. Also joining us is our HR Director, Sylvia Proud. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. First item, control room operator wage adjustment. Sheriff's Organization. Captain Dietz.
Morning, Commissioners. Captain Andy Deek for the record. I am before you today. I've submitted paperwork for our control room operator position. We are struggling to keep people retained as well as recruiting them. The position is currently at a rate of $14.77 an hour for base pay, and we are asking for an increase to that. Market for the position is around 18. We're in this request, we're requesting 16 in hopes that that aids in the attraction of people to the position and the retention as well. HR has reviewed this as well as the auditors, and you should have a budget impact report. And that is a full year's budget impact, so half of that roughly for the balance of this year to make adjustments. We'd like to do it immediately. We're currently 5 positions down that are vacant. 1 is frozen, and we have 2 more that have submitted application for other county positions. So potential for 8 total.
How many positions are there?
Roughly 20.
20.
Yeah.
And you're asking for how many?
We're asking
adjustment
for just a pay increase.
For how
No
many?
more positions.
I'm sorry?
No more positions.
How many people?
How many people
I'm
are
sorry.
affected? I'm sorry.
Roughly all of them. The base pay would come up for those at the 0 to 2 year mark, and then it's ratcheted. There's steps in there for those that are above to eliminate the compression issue. And the percentages shrink as you go higher up, obviously, because the pay is greater.
Sure. So Dina, I have some questions for you. If we budget a position at market, wouldn't we be seeing different savings here, or not necessarily a higher increase? Because if we budget at market and these people are now going to be hired at 16 instead of minimum.
So if there are open positions that were
Yes.
filled, they would have been budgeted at whomever the last person who filled them would be.
Okay.
So unless they were open at the time of the budget, they wouldn't be budgeted at 18.
Okay. Do we have some of those that were open at the time of budget?
Yes,
I think we have a couple.
correct.
Okay.
The sheriff's trending high, especially with overtime, because they are so understaffed and have so many open positions.
Sure.
Anyway, and the other thing I'll just say too is the struggle to keep people in the control room positions. I know that a few years back, the sheriff's organization changed the position from a detention deputy to a civilian type of position to save money and benefits. If they're not able to recruit and retain, then they would have to go back to a detention deputy, which starts at over $20 an hour with a higher benefit load. So there's that balance they're trying to achieve here today.
Sure.
That's typically who's covering the overtime shifts as well, is a detention staff.
Okay, so I'm looking at this little matrix that you have here, and it indicates that for the first 3 months of the year, well, you had February to May, November, and then February 21. But in any case, if I look at the total number of responses, you had 144 applicants, you had 82 responses, interviewed 62, 39 withdrew, which is almost 3/4, or 2/3, excuse me. Why so many withdrawals? Yeah, come right up, Marcia.
Marcia Higley for the record. We're seeing a lot of people that aren't seeing this position as a career. They're just simply broadcasting out applications, and they're taking the first job that comes along. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. And sometimes it does take a little while to get through our background process. And if people don't want to hang in there with us, then like I said, they're going to take that first job opportunity that comes up to them, because you can go to any place now almost and make a $14 or $15 an hour paycheck. So they're not looking at the benefits that working for Kootenai County provides.
Okay, so in addition to wage, how much of an impediment is the rigorous background process that we have? Are people not getting through? Is it, are we holding these folks up to the same standard? And should we, as we do a patrol deputy?
Commissioner, they're not even getting into the process very far before they're withdrawing. It's not they're in and being declined so much as they're in and removing themselves before they've even gotten into the process very far. That's been probably the last 6 months, the trend.
And you think that's because of wage?
I think it's because of wage, yes, because the most of the feedback I'm getting from our backgrounds captain is that they're leaving because they've taken other positions.
Okay, thank you, Marcia. How many positions, again, are affected in all? Would you say 8?
17.
Oh, 17. Okay.
So we have 8 vacancies.
Oh, 8 vacancies, okay.
Correct, yeah.
Sylvia, thoughts?
So we did this with the with the control room operators several years ago and bumped up their wage. They still fall within the pay scale of the grade 4. And the rationale that the sheriff's office used specifically, Andy, in terms of how he would progress the individuals based on years, looks appropriate to me. So I support the concept. We need to do something to get him some staff on board and encourage them to see this as a career, not just a stopping place. Go ahead. And Kim.
Yeah, go right ahead, Kim.
So I worked with the sheriff's office last time on this same exact scenario. It was about 5 years ago. And we moved it to market at that time, and it made a huge difference. It really did. They were able to fill their positions for quite some time. I think the reason that we're even back now is because we didn't shift it as the bands shifted. If we had, I think they would be in a better position than they are now. And I definitely recommend that if you approve this, that you take it into consideration every budget season, that if our pay bands shift, that the minimum shifts as well.
Okay. So there's 2 options here. It says
Yeah, go ahead.
alternate per AD. I assume that's you. What is the difference there?
Do you want to speak to that? That was her budget impact.
So we did 2 different scenarios. So Captain Deek provided calculations for $16 an hour and then for slightly less to provide less of a budgetary impact. However, that will have less of an impact on hiring. So we wanted to present 2 different scenarios for you, considering the budget and considering the budgetary impact. But the difference is about 10,000?
8,000.
8,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not tremendously huge. And again, market's 18.
Yeah. I'm willing to go with number 1, to stop the bleeding for sure. And then I imagine things will shake out in the end because once you're fully staffed, the overtime is going to go down.
Okay, so Dina, while you're there, explain to me when you say alternate per AD, what is that?
It's a different calculation with a slightly smaller increase than bringing the low bottom to 16.
Okay,
So the very bottom in the first scenario would come up to 16, and then everyone else would move up proportionately. The second scenario doesn't quite move them to 16, and the proportion is slightly less.
okay, so when you indicate incremental hourly, you're talking the increment for the 17.
Yes, so that
Okay.
23, 17,
Right, okay.
27, that's all
It's loaded.
17
That's
people
all
with all their
17 people.
increases together, just to simplify the calculation.
All right,
So
I'm with you.
that's for everybody.
Okay. Bill, thoughts?
Well, I saw a sign the other day at the donut shop for $15 with no background. I think that.
And probably no benefits, by the way.
No benefits, but you can come and go as you please.
I don't know about that, but that's okay. Not if you want to keep your job, I guess.
They spelled donut wrong.
And it-
That's right, all the donuts.
And if it's spelled wrong, it means it doesn't have the hole in the middle, is that right?
That's right.
Whatever.
I would agree with Leslie.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I move that we approve the control room operator wage adjustment per scenario 1 on our projection sheet.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried. Thank you, Captain Deet.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Sylvia, Kim, Tina.
Thank you, Marcia. Okay, moving on, second item. Buyout Proposal, KCSO. We do have a possible executive session, which I guess might be necessary if we get into personalities. But I guess I will turn this over to, is it Under Sheriff? Will you take this, or Sheriff? Sheriff Norris.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, we'd like to go into executive session to talk about some specific employees in a particular situation that we are having at the sheriff's office.
Okay, then.
Darren, do you need to? Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Do we have a motion then?
I move that we enter into executive session per Idaho Code 742061B.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and entering into executive session with Civil Deputy Prosecuting Attorneys Darren Murphy and Dave Ferguson. Tina? Okay, so we're back. We're out of executive session. We're back in open session right now. Sheriff, go right ahead, please.
Do you want a motion?
I don't,
Executive session, I don't know.
we're exiting executive, but we don't have a motion yet. We don't have any decisions yet. But we need a motion just to exit? Okay, go ahead.
I move that we exit executive session.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, exiting executive session. Sheriff?
So I'd like the commissioners to evaluate and approve a buyout for the 3 positions.
Okay.
I'm fine with it as presented financially as well.
Bill, do you have any questions about the financial?
I do not.
Okay. Dina, would you come forward, just give us a very brief explanation, if not necessarily for our benefit, but anybody that might be listening in? Thank you.
You bet. Okay. So the first calculation has the 2 captains. As you look across the spreadsheet, proposed separation date, years of service. Are we familiar with how Percy works with Percy points? So it's years of service plus age and law enforcement or rule of 80. So those 2 added together can equal 80 or more. So if we go over to the right, Percy years remaining, you can see that both of these individuals are beyond their rule of 80, so they're fully vested. So they're back to years of service. The next column over is annual salary. So we take their annual salary by their years of service, and we get this very large number. And then we multiply that by 1.5%, and then we get their buyout amount.
Okay.
So those are the 2 buyout amounts. Then part of this separation agreement is Cobra Payments for 18 months. The second person has an extra Cobra payment. Those Cobra payments are tax-free to the county as well as to the employee. Those will be taken and put into a VEBA account so that they can pay their premiums going forward. So then you have totals over here with the buyout and the Cobra. And then we see unloaded totals. At the very last, at the right, there's a non-taxable benefit. That's the VEBA. So when we add the loaded total plus the VEBA amount, the total buyout cost is $167,303 for these 2 individuals. Note that this does not include the regular separation costs for them retiring, which the county normally absorbs anyway, and we do have money in the sick leave termination pool that we increased this year. So then if you look down at the bottom, it shows each individual's base wage and what the conversion wage would be and what the difference of those 2 positions are in conversion and what the net savings is. So For a full year, these two conversions will save the county almost $125,000 loaded. And this year, with these separation dates, will save the county $32,304. So if we take the full savings, less the buyout amount, the net cost to the county is just a little over $10,000. That's for the first two. Same deal with the second. I won't belabor all the columns, but as you can see, if you get to the end, the total cost for the buyout of the third employee, $75,000. And net savings this year, $4,800. Annual savings, $14,474. Any questions? Clear as mud?
Clearer than mud.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much,
You
Dina.
betcha.
Appreciate it. Any questions? None? Are we ready for a motion?
Correct.
Would be this.
I move that we approve the request for buyout according to the memo presented.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the motion is carried for the recommended buyouts. Thank you, everyone. Public comment? None. 9:59, meeting adjourned. Thank you.